If you don't want to waste your potential in life, you absolutely must learn how to protect your attention. Let's get to it. Hey, I'm Castillo, founder of Selfmastered. We're a high-performance training company that helps entrepreneurs scale their businesses by solving their silent bottleneck, their own performance. We transform the unproductive, overwhelming, and focused entrepreneurs into laser-focused business athletes that can achieve in one day what they previously achieved in 1 week. So today I want to talk about one of the most important topics in this channel. It is how to essentially design a life that you're actually proud of, how to create experiences that are important to you. And everything starts by mastering your ability to pay attention to the things that matter. If you think about it, and we'll discuss this time and time again in the channel, there's a 7 trillion digital economy that is built upon the successful hacking of your prefrontal cortex. Some people call it limbic capitalism. So essentially, these are the apps and the digital services that rely on giving you the right dopamine hit so that you get hooked in the service and you keep using them. And obviously, everything that is addictive, it is not well suited for you to build something great in the long term, right? So you need to fight against that. You need to learn how to use those apps, how to navigate this attention economy, this limbic capitalism to create the life you want. And this discussion, which may seem very contemporary, may seem very modern, has been at the heart of the psychology field from the very beginning. In fact, one of the first psychologists, great psychologist in the 19th century, William James, American, he said that man essentially creates experience by choosing what he pays attention to. So in other words, if you want to control your life and control the quality of your experiences, you need to learn how to control your attention so that you can prevent others from hijacking it and getting you hooked to things that just do not serve you in the long term. The skill is called attention management. And once you learn how to do it effectively, you can do a radical 180 turn in your life, because getting what you want and essentially influencing your reality becomes much easier once you know how to master your attention management. Once you do this, life becomes more meaningful, productivity skyrockets, you experience a lot more life satisfaction, and essentially everything else becomes easier. So this video is all about teaching you exactly how to do it. It is a primer of the same framework that we walk our clients through to help them achieve exactly this transformation. Go from undistracted and unfocused to laser-like focus in just about 8 weeks. But before we get into it, remember to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss on any of the juicy videos that we release every week. We have no upload schedule, so ring the bell if you want to be notified and be the first to learn and apply everything we share every week. Mastering your attention essentially boils down to controlling your environment, both the external environment and the internal environment. External is what sits outside of yourself, internal is what sits within. And outside of yourself, we can find physical and digital environment. The physical environment is, you guessed it, everything that is physical that has an impact on your attention. So that can be other people that may come to distract you. That can be just nudges that you may have in your day-to-day environment that can distract you from the task at hand. It can be pings, can be rings, it can be everything and anything that just does not let you focus. So the first step is to make an audit of your environment in which you work to see if there's any element that is conducive to distraction. Now, you're talking about people, there's probably that coworker or that teammate that always come visit you or interrupt you in some way. Well, you need to create curfews, boundaries that you can enforce to do deep work, because only through deep work you can get the high quality work that essentially builds career capital, as Cal Newport would say. So once you've mastered the physical environment, there goes the digital environment, which is the culprit of most problems with attention management these days. What we encourage our clients to do is to understand what are their patterns of behavior using digital devices. So what are the things that they do that compromise their ability to focus? How many tabs do they open at once? How many apps do they check every day? How much time do they spend on their cell phone? What's the total time usage they have across all digital devices, not only the smartphone? Make an inventory of the time you spend there, and you most likely find that if you are the average entrepreneur, you probably spend upwards of 3 hours just on your smartphone. All of that needs to go, because all of that business model is based on keeping you hooked to the screen. as soon as you unplug and you train your brain to not get hooked again, you will find the ability to control your internal environment, right? So step number 2 is audit your digital environment and remove all sources of distraction. What I do specifically myself is I check the phone twice a day. One would be right before starting work, so I can catch up with anything that happened during the night or in other parts of the world, and then I will check it again before bed. So let's say 2 hours before bed after I'm done with my workday. So if you try to contact me at 11 a.m. on a random Tuesday, good luck. I'm never gonna pick up the phone. What I'll do is I will gather all the phones and I will call back those that I believe makes sense that I call them back at the end of the day. Now, once you've mastered the physical environment and the digital environment, time comes to master your internal environment. And here I'd like to separate between 3 things. One are your behaviors, your natural tendencies, 2, your emotions, what things create strong emotions that may derail you from focus, and then your thoughts. I'll start with behavior. Behavior is crucial. As you know, we are creatures of habits. The things we do repeatedly are what will eventually build our characters. And throughout life, we may pick up behaviors that are not conducive to the state of deep work and focus that we'd like to foster in our lives. So again, just as we audited our environment, both in the physical and the digital, it makes sense to understand what are your key behavior patterns once you start working. Example would be, how long does it take you to open a new tab when you're focused? Do you have any nervous twitch of checking something new once you are trying to get focused? Chances are you do, because if you're in training high performance, you have these natural behavioral tendencies that you need to tame if you want to create that high quality focus. So make a list of all the behaviors that are preventing you from staying on task for 2 hours, which is the ideal goal. Then 2, emotions. What things happening in the external environment create strong emotions? Every time you feel surprise or fear or anger, what are the triggers? What are the things that are triggering those strong emotions so that you can either remove those triggers or understand how to create a better emotional response towards them? Both approaches work. Emotions are the key in long-term success. Those that learn how to lower their emotional variance and remain in control at all times will eventually have the upper hand. So do not disregard this as something that you shouldn't be focusing on. We all experience emotions from time to time, and it really pays off to understand what are the natural inclinations so that we can devise an environment that doesn't bring negative energy into our lives. And then finally, your thoughts. As you might imagine, we all have thoughts. The mind is always wandering, and some of these thoughts may be recurring, may be even obsessive, and they're not helping you focus on the task at hand. They're not leading you to complete attention management mastery. So in the same way that you will audit your emotions, I will encourage you to audit your thoughts. What are the things that are recurring in your mind that you should address if you truly want to liberate that capacity for focus? Something that is very helpful here is having some sort of meditation routine or something that brings stillness into your life so you can learn how to audit your mind from an external perspective. Catch yourself mid-thought and make sure that thought doesn't prevent you from getting focused. So this is it. This is a primer on what is a framework that will work our clients through so they can gain control of their attention, because unless you do this, it is very hard to make progress. If you're constantly battling against distraction, if the entropy is all around you and everybody's getting a slice of your time and attention, you will not achieve the goals you set for yourself. So make this a number 1 priority. If you spend more than 30 minutes every day on your smartphone and you allow yourself to get distracted by co-workers or family members, if you do not have proven protocols to cut any negative behavioral, thought, or emotional response in order to foster better focus, you should definitely focus on that, because that's a key of peak performance in business. If this video was useful, remember to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss out any of the juicy videos that we publish every week. And if you feel someone can benefit from this, share this video with them. See you in the next video.